Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well today. I'm sipping on, again, raspberry leaf tea because it's delicious and it's very, very healthy. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about the fear that you may feel when it is time in your cycle to rejuvenate and free yourself, free your heart, free your consciousness from the constraints of the lies of fear. And it's the death of the ego, death of the fear that I want to really kind of talk about. So during the new moons and the full moons, I often get very, very vivid dreams, like as very many clairvoyants do, and as many of us do, because that is literally the time to activate and clear out these kinds of things within the cycle. So as yesterday was the new moon, sorry, not the new moon, the full moon in Leo, and I am a Leo, it's my sign, so of course, bang on schedule, I had a really, really vivid dream, and I wanted to share that with you, or at least the concept or the interpretation of that dream, so that we can go forth in a little bit more understanding and maybe change a few perspectives or give you something new or a different perspective to look at this within. So here it is. Ever since I was a little kid, I had always had dreams of, like my nightmares usually consisted of water. I was always so scared of drowning. And this is when I lived in a small town, and it was right next to a beautiful, beautiful lake. And this lake is beautiful, clear, crystal clear waters. You can drink. It's just fantastic. So, of course, I spent many of my summers down as a kid at the beach, at the side of this lake. So, of course, it was part of my dreams where I was very, very scared of drowning. And as I grew up, I found that I would have other dreams of natural disasters such as tornadoes, avalanches, and so on. And each one of these dreams, of course, I'm dying. So when I was a kid, I would be pulled underwater, or I would just be sinking and I can't get back up. And I would be clutching on at the time to the possessions that I felt that were most important to me. And when I was a child, it was I had a little plastic book, which it was a money book, and I had gotten it for my birthday or something like that. And it was, just me and my little self, and I was like clutching onto my money book, just like, And I would, but I remembered though that I couldn't die in my dreams, because even though I was deathly scared of it, and I sank to the bottom of the lake, waiting, holding my breath, thinking that I can't breathe, clutching onto my little money book as a kid, that scared the living shit out of me. Although even at the very, very, very end of the dream, though, always at the very end, I would breathe and realize, oh, I'm alive. Now, as I got older, as I said, I would have more reoccurring dreams, but more so natural disasters. Like, I would always think a tornado. I have a few dreams of tornadoes coming, and I would be deathly scared, running away from this tornado because I didn't want to get swept up in the vortex, in the current, right? Only for it to take my breath away. I'm sure some of you may be like, oh, I'm getting the pattern now as to where this is going. Last night, anyway, I dreamt of an avalanche. And the dream started out in this way. I was with some people that I knew, but I didn't know them. Like in terms of here in this material world, I couldn't see. I don't know these people. But I was in a van, and we were in like the more remote areas of well, I could only say of Canada because that's what I'm experiencing. But we were driving alongside a mountain where it's really, really windy through the mountain passes on the highway. And there was snow, it was white everywhere. So the roads were very slippery. And I remember we all had to get to the ferry or a boat that was just a little bit down the way of the road, probably about 30 minutes drive. So close enough that you could technically walk to, but far enough where you're like, okay, I want to drive though. And we were struggling to get there on time. Now, I wasn't driving, I was just a passenger in this vehicle. And I looked back and I saw nobody was strapped in properly. Nobody was sitting up nicely like we were all at calm and peace. No, everybody was thrown in the back. We had blankets, and it was more like, it felt like more like being trafficked rather than, that was the kind of thing, like where nobody's there. Everything's quite chaotic. And then we found that the driver was just kind of going really fast up some of these curves where, the cliffs are there and everything was crazy balls. So I was feeling quite a little out of control at that point. And as we kept climbing, I'm like, we're not going to make this ferry. We're just not going to make it, or we're really cutting it close. Now, after we were trying, something had happened to the van. Where you just know something happened, but you're switched to another scene in the dream. And we were no longer in a van, and I was no longer with so many people. I was now with 4 adults, 2 being a couple. There was one lady and a gentleman, and the other being my ex-husband. And we stopped because we were hungry, and we found this underground bunker up in the mountains somewhere because we were off the beaten trail. And we had a lot of food though, which is weird. So I want you to think like an underground shelter, an abandoned shelter, a bunker, and it's snowing, it's winter. So everywhere is covered in feet of snow, and I mean like, the trees are heavy hanging with white, and the bunker we just uncovered. And we had of course a barbecue though, and we were cooking up vegetables and and plantain and everything like that. Anyway, we knew we still had to catch this ferry, so we thought, oh great, we're going to stop and have some lunch, and then we're going to go. My belly was full. I ate so much food. But then we looked up at the top of the mountain, and a torrential avalanche was coming. And I mean like day after tomorrow kind of avalanche, that movie, or 2012, if you remember that movie, the apocalypse movies and stuff like that. Like, yeah, like this huge just wave of snow that nobody's going to be able to survive from. And I was standing next to the lady, and I saw my ex-husband. He was looking up, just preparing, knowing that we're not going to survive this. And I instinctively ran over to him and hugged him, but I turned my back away from the avalanche. And I said, just don't look at it. Don't worry about it. And the first thing, as I was saying that, I was comforting him, trying to comfort him, but really, in that moment, I was comforting myself, because I knew that death was coming, and I didn't face it. I instead chose to turn away from it and look over at something peaceful, which was just the untouched snowy land, and the road that was underneath and so forth like that. But all the while, as I was looking at this peace and serenity, there was in my thought process was going on was, I'm going to lose my breath. The first thing that came in was, what is it going to be like to not be able to breathe in again? Now, and then I woke up. I sat there holding him, looking over. He was looking at the avalanche coming down, and I was looking at, again, the serenity. And then I woke up. And one of the things that I found, or why is this relevant to this kind of conversation today? And it comes through with the interpretation. The day was crystal clear, although very snowy. The skies were blue, right? There was nothing to be disturbed with. When we were driving up the mountainside, waiting to catch this ferry, it was all chaotic. It was hustle. It was go, 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 go. When really, nothing was really that pressing, you know? There was so much chaos. Even when we stopped for food, it seemed like life was difficult, right? Because we are trying to catch this ferry, but yet now we're lost in the woods, but, you know, we're having to find a bunker and survive, but we did, you know, in the cold and everything like that. Again, like it felt like hardship in that moment, coping in that moment. And when death was coming, when I saw the avalanche coming, I had surrendered to it, but yet would not face it at the same time. Now, looking at it, the world, why did I dream of an avalanche? Because for one, snow is cold. It's beautiful. It's rejuvenating, you know. It's wonderful for your cells, you know, to have a little bit of coldness, you know, of the ice and the water there. But in this moment, the way I interpreted this dream is that as beautiful as it is, it's not an environment that I actually enjoy. It's something that I have to endure. Winter. I'm a summer person. I come alive in the spring and summertime. That's where I get the healthiest and so forth. And in the winter, I huddle up in warm clothes and I tend to stay inside a lot more, and I get very, very pale. The sun doesn't touch me. And it's more of something I have to endure. So that's the way I look at winter, is more of a time to rest, rejuvenate, but it is endurance. My ex, whenever he is in my dreams, it means that that is the last level of consciousness that I was at. And that is what the likeness is. The likeness is a consciousness or an entity that literally will try to get you to go back into old cycles and patterns. So, what I was feeling, and so I know that if my ex is in is in one of my dreams, or is in my thoughts a lot, it is because likeness, that entity, is around. And when that entity is around, suffrage becomes a part of life. Endurance becomes a part of life. Chaos, when there's no need to be chaotic, is around. Confusion is around. Feeling out of control is around when likeness is around, right? Because it helps you to forget who you are and the strength. And it helps you to be scared of the unknown, right? Which is the next chapter in life. So, what I was feeling in that moment when I saw that avalanche coming down was I was feeling the fear of my likeness dying, getting ready to die. And a lot of individuals would normally come out of one of these dreams and be quite scared, thinking, oh my gosh, because we're quite shaken. But I came out of this dream, although the feelings were there, I'm like, you know what, this is amazing, because it means that that chapter of my life where there is crystal clear skies, food, transportation, warmth, everything that is around me, although the likeness has me see it through the eyes of suffering. Well, now, since that entity is dying, or died, and it's passing over, now I can rejuvenate and recognize that, the next chapter is truly about to begin. So, with that being said, I guess long story short, I'm just sharing really today, but long story short is, when you have dreams of death that may scare you, you know what? It's just because there is a part of your consciousness that is no longer serving you in the way that you feel is going to benefit you most. That fear is ready to die. So let it go. And know that some good shit is about to come your way. Alright? So I'm letting go of the chaos. I'm letting go of the fear. Letting go of the suffrage, the cold, and embracing the springtime and the summer. Anyway, I don't know if that would help you today, but I hope it does. Alright, take care of yourselves.